Hello everyone and welcome to another beer review. Now today we're back on the Yorkshire series because we haven't had a Yorkshire beer for a while and quite a few still to get through. And today we're going to do one from the Black Sheep brewery because they've been through a bit of turmoil over the last few months. In April they basically put the brewery up for sale or potential merger. Then at the end of April, start of May, they pulled it from sale and says that no, we're going to look at other options. And then they went into administration. It was in about a week of them basically pulling it from sale, says they're looking at other options, and then within a week they went into administration. And now, was it last week, which was maybe about the middle of May, they announced that it's been bought over by an investment company. And we'll just have to wait and see what direction the company is going to take now. But as of now, it has been bought and it's no longer in administration. So I suppose that's one good thing. Where that purchase takes the brewery, well, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully it'll be a good place and not a bad place, but unfortunately you just never know. So today we're going to be doing the Black Sheep Amber Ale. I think they just call it the Black Sheep Ale, but it's an amber ale, and yeah, they call it a different breed of amber ale apparently. It's 4.4%, roughly about £2 a bottle, and it says a well-rounded premium amber ale packed with British hops and a complex malt blend, dried fruits and a touch of caramel strike the palate, leading to a rich, bittersweet finish. Independently brewed in Masham, Yorkshire, using fresh Dales water and our iconic Yorkshire Square fermenters, as they keep putting on in every single bottle. And born and bred in Masham, and it's 4.4%, like I said. It's 500ml bottle. So let's crack it open and see where we are. I did do that, didn't I? Trying to look interesting. Suave and sophisticated, you know. For Instagram. What's the point? You see some of the scratches on Instagram, you think, why would you waste any time with it, really, seriously? But apparently, it's a lot of beer drinkers kind of hang about like bad smells on Instagram. I'm one of them. Right, let's get this poured and see what it's like. Yes. Oh, it's pouring not too bad. I might get this in one shot. Oh no, he buggered it. He buggered it, so he did. Disgrace. There was nothing about beer he does. Yeah, I made a bit of an arse of that, but at the end of the day, if people on the podcast, I poured it, so it's now basically got a 3-finger head. Looks like a fest beer in the Munich Festival. Right, there we go. So, for the people on the podcast, it's a nice kind of copperish amber colour, and it's nice and clear. Doesn't look too overly carbonated, doesn't look too carbonated, and I would probably say it'd be roughly about a 1.5 finger head if it was poured by somebody who knew what it would do. But unfortunately it was poured by me, so you got almost a 3-finger head at one point. So there you go. But let's see what it smells like. Did I do it? There you go. Instagram, you know. Well, I'm getting malt, light malt, which is slightly caramelly, maybe a hint of toffee, maybe just a little bit darker. I'm not getting any hops. Am I getting any fruit? No, not really getting any fruit. But just, yeah, I'm getting a little bit of grain, but mostly it's just light malt aromas. So, let's see what it tastes like. There's a little bit of bitterness at the end, which is quite nice. And there's a little bit in the mid-tongue. Nice and malty to start with, but I'm getting slightly what we call tannin flavours as well. And what I mean by tannins is like basically kind of stewed tea kind of accents that I'm getting there. Not really getting fruit, but that's what I'm getting. I'm just getting kind of like tanning flavours that you'll get in tea, like overly stewed tea from that point of view. And yeah, it reminds me of the old builders' tea where they used to basically leave the tea bags in, so they make the flask up in the morning and they just leave the tea bags in it, so the damn thing just gets more and more stewed over time. And yeah, well, by the time you get to lunchtime, you stand your spoon up in it, you know, that type of thing. But that's what reminds me of when you used to be in the old house, sitting there. The old boss saying, "Is that a bag of crisps you've got?" "Aye." "Oh, can I have a couple?" So he could shove it in his sandwiches, because he had always had cheese sandwiches, no matter what time of the year, no matter how long he's been doing it, it's always cheese sandwiches. He needs something to kind of pet them up, so he used to nick the crisps off of me, old bugger, so he did. He used to have a golden Labrador that used to dry hump me like fuck, by the way. It was unbelievable. Used to hate meeting him. Be out walking down the street, oh shit, there's Jackie. Trying to avoid him, because there's that bloody dog. Because the dog, cheers you, Jackie will stop to talk to you, and the next minute the dog, it's got the old dew claws right around you, and you're dry humping, and you think, Jesus God. Jake was a dog, if I remember rightly. He was called Jackie, and this bloody kind of, I think it was a chestnut brown Labrador or something like that. But yeah, he used to dry hump me like fuck. Unbelievable. It's quite embarrassing if you're with your friends. "Oh, who's that?" "Oh, that's my butt." "That dog's helping you shut up." You know what I mean? I think I don't fucking know that. You know, but yeah. Why am I talking about this? But anyway, but that's where we are, yeah. So it just kind of reminds me of the kind of tea some of the workers used to do at the time. Whereas you could tell, you could tell basically if they were up early, they'd be milking the flask as well. If they're running late, then it'd just be basically black tea with the tea bag still in it. There you go. Scottish workers at their best, eh? Twats. Gee, I could drink that piss. But anyway, I'm getting little hints of tannins. Maybe getting little hints of fruit now, just as I'm getting more acclimatised to it. But while I'm getting more acclimatised to it, I'm getting a little kind of different levels of sweetness as well. But yeah, I'm getting that the tannins are now basically sitting more at the back of the mouth, giving a bit of bitterness, but it just kind of gives you that slightly stewed tea kind of bitterness to it, which is actually quite nice. I don't see that as a huge big problem, because I like a bit of bitterness, but it's a wee bit different, not what I'm kind of really expecting. But yeah, it's actually not too bad, actually. As the mouth gets more acclimatised to it, it's really starting to warm on me. It's quite nice, quite pleasant. Some nice flavours, some nice flavour profiles there, which I'll break up in a minute, just as I allow the mouth to get more acclimatised. But yes, it is very, very nice. I think I can't remember, what did I try the last time? I tried, was it a bitter? I think I tried a bitter from Black Sheep, if I remember rightly. It wasn't that great. It just shows you, even, you know, breweries that produce some good beers can also produce some howlers as well. I mean, let's be totally honest. There isn't that many breweries that I know of that are consistent throughout their product range. And I would probably say one of the closest ones is probably Fuller's. Fuller's in London. I mean, I wouldn't say that all their beers are exactly, you know, to the same level. I mean, there's ones higher than others, but over the range, I would probably say they have a good standard throughout. I mean, there is ones I prefer more than others and things like that, but I wouldn't turn around and say that there's products within the Fuller's range that I would say, no, that's actually awful. They missed the mark with that one. In general, they do understand less is more, and they do utilise that to their own advantage. And overall, I would say the product range is fairly consistent from that point of view. So, in my view, if you do basically come across a Fuller's product, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be fairly good. At least it's going to be probably slightly above average, going on to being, good to really good from that point of view. So you're getting kind of a good kind of consistency. They're always the right side of 5, put it that way. So they're always above 5 with the reviews I've done, and that's just me being honest. They do tend to kind of tick the boxes, but again, in general, they do tend to kind of follow the more traditional beers. And obviously their history and their experience is based on making a lot more traditional beers, and it does show. And they don't skimp. They are maybe a slightly bit more pricier than their kind of competitors, but you feel that the quality's there in the ingredients. You don't feel as if like they're using cheap ingredients and you're kind of getting the dregs from that point of view. But yeah, this is quite nice. Okay, let's break down these flavours. Starts off, you're getting some nice malty caramel notes, a little bit of grain, and a nice sweetness associated with that kind of malty caramel. As it moves on to the mid-tongue, slightly changes. The sweetness slightly dissipates, and the caramel flavour kind of starts to develop to be a little bit more darker, so you get a little bit more toffee-like rather than caramel-like. Well, there seems to be a little bitter tones that are associated with that, and it just becomes a little bit darker in the flavour. And you just get little hints of bitterness in the mid-tongue, which are just they are just little hints of like kind of tanning or stewed tea from that point of view. But you're also getting this different level of sweetness that starts to appear right in the middle of the mid-tongue. And it's slightly different. It's almost, you can taste the difference between the two sweetnesses. That's what I'm saying, that kind of different levels. But with this one, it is kind of more associated with kind of like dried fruit, so it's a kind of like slightly more fructose rather than a kind of glucose or sucrose kind of sweetness. So you're getting a kind of fructose sweetness that's it's a bit lighter, but you can taste the two different types of sweetness from that point of view. There is, just after the kind of middle of the mid-tongue, you start to kind of notice there's a kind of two levels of sweetness going on. You're not really getting so much fruity flavour, but you're getting little accents of dried fruit. But again, they're quite light, and it's hard to distinguish what type of kind of dried fruit kind of flavours are coming through. But you are getting kind of slightly dry fruit kind of accents in amongst this little light kind of tea accents. And then it moves on to the aftertaste. And you're getting little bits of, you're getting the remnants of sweetness, the kind of light kind of fruity sweetness kind of dies down, and you've still got the underlying sweetness. You're still getting a little bit of toffee there, but these kind of bitter notes kind of slightly ramp up a bit on the mid-tongue, and you're getting a slight hoppy bitterness, and you're getting these kind of light kind of stewed tea kind of tannin kind of bitterness as well, kind of mixed in. And overall it's quite nice. It seems fairly well balanced from that point of view. It probably would be nicer if some of the flavour profiles were a bit cleaner, so you could identify them better, especially the kind of dried fruit, because it'd be nice to know exactly kind of where that's kind of coming from. Unfortunately, you're just getting kind of dried fruit kind of accents. and it'd be nice to obviously have that a bit of a cleaner flavour profile. From that point of view, interesting the way it goes from slightly kind of light, kind of caramel at the front of the mouth, but then gets that little bit dark as it moves onto the mid tongue. It just, the malt just gets a little bit dark, and it just starts getting more kind of toffier tones, which of course might be with this kind of slightly bitter accents that are kind of reacting with it and kind of giving it more kind of darker tones without it actually really physically changing. It's just basically the other flavours are affecting how that malt flavour is kind of perceived on the tongue, which sometimes can happen. But overall, yeah, it's actually not too bad. There is some nice malty flavour, and I think they said that on the bottle. A well-rounded premium amber ale packed with British hops and complex malt blend. Dried fruits and a touch of caramel strike the palate. But yeah, I would say it is quite a complex malt blend because I'm noticing some differences within the malt. So you are tasting that. Overall, with the flavour profile, it's quite busy. It could be cleaner, and maybe a little bit less is more, as I was talking about with the fillers, because it is quite busy with all these different kind of flavours between them, and even some of the existing flavours are slightly changing and things like that, and there's just quite a lot going on. It's a nice amber ale, but I wouldn't say it's a particularly easy drinking amber ale. I wouldn't say it's sessionable from that point of view. For my kind of opinion, I could only have a couple and then have to move on to something else. I don't think I could basically have a whole night on this stuff. A couple kind of max, because it's just, now they call it complex, I would say it's kind of busy, a bit too busy from that point of view. And some of the flavours could be cleaner from that point. So what would I give this out of 10? I like it and I would recommend it, but for me, just a little bit too busy, and I'd like some cleaner flavours from that point of view. But yeah, overall it's quite a nice amber ale. But what would I give this? I'm going to give this a 6. I'm going to give it a 6. I was kind of toying between a 5.5 and a 6, to be totally honest. I thought, well, it's quite a nice amber ale. It's a bit busy, not my kind of normal. I mean, it'd be nice just to kind of finish a night off on something like that, or in a nice, more of a winter setting, more of a kind of autumn or winter setting. I think this would probably go quite better as well. Not something for the summer, I would be totally honest, just because it's a bit too busy in the flavours, and just sometimes you just want to drink just to kind of refresh you. And this isn't a refreshment type of amber ale from that point of view. It's definitely, I wouldn't say sessionable, just because of how busy it is with all the different flavours. And they are quite, I wouldn't say overly intense, but they're there, and they are front and centre, so they're not kind of like hiding from that point of view. So the flavours are to a decent intensity, I would say. So yes, I'll give it a 6 out of 10, but it was kind of borderline getting a 5.5, so it's that kind of area. But yeah, if you see it about, give it a go and see what you think. Yeah, it's quite nice, but there is other ones I prefer more, to be totally honest. But anyway, thanks for watching, cheers, and bye for now.